Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Wednesday, July the 1st. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to open slightly higher to begin the new financial year, with ASX futures up around 8 points. Global equity markets rose overnight to round out the last trading day of the second quarter. European shares registering their biggest quarterly rise in more than 5 years, while Japan's Nikkei saw its best quarter on record. On Wall Street, the major indices also notched up their biggest quarterly gains in years, with the S&P 500 up 15%, the Nasdaq rising more than 21%, their best performance since 2020, the Dow ending 13% higher. The gains have been driven by investor optimism about the economic outlook and earnings growth, despite uncertainty about the Middle East conflict. However, weakness in tech shares over the past month saw the S&P 500 and Nasdaq register losses for June. And AI-driven demand for data centre chips and hyperscaler capital spending has seen the Philadelphia Chip Index nearly double since the start of the year, led by Micron up more than 300%, Intel up more than 250%, and Marvell Technologies also rising. Well, stocks specifically overnight, Nike reported better than expected quarterly results, but shares slipped around 6% in extended trade on a cautious outlook. Shares of Constellation Brands, the maker of Corona beer, rose after the bell as its first quarter profit beat estimates. In the travel sector, Wells Fargo has hiked the price targets of US airlines, citing easing costs and tighter capacity. However, the price targets on Expedia and Booking.com have been cut due to ongoing economic uncertainty and the expected impact of the Middle East conflict on travel demand through to the end of the year. Well, Iran has said it would not meet with top US envoys who flew to the region following an outbreak of hostilities, dimming the prospects for a lasting peace between the two countries. Jared Kushner and envoy Steve Witkoff arrived in Doha for what the White House has described as high-level talks. Meanwhile, Iranian officials have insisted that the regime will maintain control of the Strait of Hormuz, along with US ally Oman, saying they would impose tolls in mid-August when the 60-day period expires. On the data front, in the US, consumer confidence rose slightly, while job openings in May rose marginally against expectations of a broader decline. The US 2-year Treasury yield rose to 4.14%, the 10-year was up to 4.43%. Australian 3-year government bond yield futures rose to 4.38%, the 10-year at 4.78%. US dollar index down around 0.2%, the Aussie is currently trading at 69.2 US cents. Oil prices little changed overnight, but have registered their biggest monthly and quarterly losses since the COVID pandemic, with the market pricing in an end to the Middle East conflict. Brent futures down around 0.3% to close at $73 a barrel. Gold has edged up, but has seen its deepest quarterly decline in 13 years, as inflation concerns stemming from the Middle East conflict reinforce expectations that interest rates will rise. Spot gold at around $4,007 an ounce. Copper futures rose more than 1.5%, iron ore little changed at around $100 a tonne. Bitcoin tumbling around 3%, currently trading at around $58,500 US dollars. Locally today, we get building approvals for May, and in corporate news, South32 is selling its aluminium assets to Alcoa for up to $8.1 billion as it shifts towards copper and base metals. That is your day ahead. See you again tomorrow.